Alrighty, welcome everybody to the next live stream on the FJ YouTube channel. I gotta say, it's good to be back doing broadcasts, and once again, I'm joined by my live stream co-host David from Denmark. Welcome, David. We are covering a series that is going to be absolutely incredible, a race that is defined as one of the best and most challenging in motorsports. This is, of course, the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, and today we're going to be previewing the 2024 edition of this race. First off, David, how are you doing as we head into this event, and what are your expectations for the race? Give us everything.
I'm doing great. Jonah. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's the first time I'm really diving head first deep into the green hell, as it's also called. But it's a great race. I've watched it before. I've followed it before, and it's such a different atmosphere of a endurance race than I'm used to. So it's definitely going to be a highlight of the year. See if we can fit any more highlights into this year in endurance racing. There's been so many so far, but this is definitely going to be a big one. I feel like this is almost a warm-up for them all, and we're going to see some great cars racing. We're going to get into that later, but yeah, it's a race you don't want to miss out on.
It's definitely a race you don't want to miss out on. The 24 Hours of Nurburgring is one of the best in motorsport, and as you mentioned as well, it's going to be a highlight this year for sure. And you were mentioning that there's already been a lot of highlights this year. We've had so many great races across motorsport and cross endurance racing especially. Yeah, let's see if we can get another one here at the Nurburgring. Now, there's a few new things, of course, heading into this stream. Of course, when it comes to the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, this is the very first stream where we've done a broadcast where it's nothing to do with the WEC or IMSA. Of course, this channel, as you all know, is primarily focusing on content when it comes to the WEC and IMSA, but for 2024, what I wanted to do, and what David wanted to do as well coming into these live streams, is we kind of wanted to expand, and not just into WEC and IMSA, but focusing this channel's objective as being a channel for endurance racing. And one of those big races is the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. And this is an event that a lot of people pointed out last year in 2023 when I was focusing on Le Mans and all that sort of thing. And they were saying, definitely do the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. It's an event that is very challenging, very exciting, and all that sort of thing. So I made a vow in 2023 that I would make content the following year. And here we are. So, welcome to everybody who's joined so far for this live stream. It's a pleasure to have you all on board once again. Share the stream, like it, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you are new to it as well. Of course, this is an endurance racing YouTube channel. I'm putting content out every single week. Oh, and I think we just lost David for a second. Let's see if something changed for a moment. Give me a moment. I think David, something happened with him for a moment. Let's see if I can get him back real quickly. Wonder why he left. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think a little bit of technical issue, but anyway, we're good.
Yeah, it crashed.
Oh, well. Anyway, we're good. Small delay. Okay, so what I was saying before is that there's a lot of content coming on with Le Mans, Daytona, all that sort of thing. A ton of content to come out this year, and this channel is going to be here for it. I've set my my claim that the 24 Hours of Nurburgring is an event that we need to cover, and we're doing that with this preview. So we're going to be detailing everything that you need to basically know when it comes to the 2024 edition of this race. Cars, entries, classes, everything like that. Just basically talking about our thoughts when it comes into this endurance race, and just breaking it down, basically. Now, an important fact that you all need to know is that if you are new to this race, and a few people are, including myself, actually, I haven't been watching this race for a long time, I would highly recommend checking out my 24 Hours of Nurburgring explained video. This basically entails everything you need to know coming into this event, not just for the 2024 race, but in general for all future 24 Hours of Nurburgring. It's a very important fact to know, as well as the breakdown of all the manufacturers that it won. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, and of course, it includes the legendary brand themselves, Opel, which we have never talked about before on this channel, but a lot of people always talk, where's Opel? Where can you mention Opel? Well, here's the video that mentions Opel. So there you go. It's on the channel now. Anyway, though, so the 2024 edition of this race is this coming weekend. We are currently live streaming on Wednesday, May 29th as of recording this. The race is going to be taking place on Saturday and Sunday. And for fans that are familiar of the 24 Hours of Le Mans and 24 Hours of Daytona, in terms of the length of this event and how it's set up in terms of the racing, it's very similar. It is a 24-hour endurance race. It starts on one time and it doesn't stop until it finishes the next following day. So that means racing is going to be going all through the day on Saturday, all through the night on Saturday, in the very, very early morning on Sunday, and in, of course, the day of Sunday until it finishes right on the same time it started the previous day. So, David, I want to ask you your thoughts on this, because you've been watching the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, honestly, longer than I have. You're familiar with the event. When it comes to this event, is it up there as an event that people should watch alongside the 24 Hours of Le Mans? Is it better than the Le Mans 24 Hour, or is it just kind of there or thereabout? What makes this race so special? Why is it an event that people that are viewing this stream right now should watch?
Well, the first question you asked, that's a difficult thing to answer because Le Mans is such a special race. It's older. This is a fairly young race compared to Le Mans, but it's two completely different kind of 24-hour races. First of all, we don't see any prototypes at Nurburgring. That would be highly unsafe as well with the track. But it's a completely different kind of race. I think both races has their pros and cons. I mean, cons is pretty difficult, but yeah, the pros and cons. And I think they are maybe similar, like on the rank, but it's depending on what type of endurance racing you love. I personally love every single type of endurance racing. So for me, these two races are up there, but the older history of Le Mans wins it for me. Though I love the track Nürburgring Nordschleife, it's arguably the hardest track to race at. It's like we put the whole lot of cars at Monaco and then told them to race for 24 hours. That would be crazy. They do that in Germany, apparently. So yeah, it's a extremely difficult track to race at. There's so many cars, so the track is always filled to the brim. And then 24 hours and complete darkness. There's so many parts of the track you can't actually see. So it's a classic, but Le Mans is legendary for me.
That's a good explanation. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, Le Mans is, of course, I don't think there's any way of really, truly explaining that. It is just Le Mans. But the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, fantastic race. And I think, as I explained in my Nürburgring Explained video, it's considered to be one of the most challenging races, not just because of the fact that there are so many cars out on track, which we'll get into in just a moment, but because of the track itself. The Nürburgring is arguably the most famous circuit in the world, and, I mean, of course, that can't be argued, but it is a fantastic track. It is one of the best. I mean, this track goes around so many different iconic corners. It is so long, it's so treacherous, it's so difficult. It's everything you could want in a circuit, basically. And to have multi-class racing around a track like that for 24 hours, nevertheless, is absolutely incredible. And that's what makes this event, I think, so special, is the fact that it is a multi-class racing event for 24 hours around the Nürburgring. It is three iconic factors that are just absolutely amazing to think about. So we got a lot of comments coming in, a lot of support for the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, a lot of support for this channel as well, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you so much for your support as always. Every comment that comes in when it comes to support is huge. I really do appreciate that, and it helps me to get out more content. And yeah. So I think that it's only fair that we talk about the cars for this event. Now, we're expected to see around 130 cars for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. Now, let's put that into perspective of Le Mans and Daytona, for example. Le Mans is 62 cars this year. Daytona was roughly around the same, a little bit more, in fact. But this is 150 cars. And around a circuit as narrow as the Nürburgring is so incredibly interesting to think about. So how fantastic is that? But the fact is that this race is not a prototype race. This has nothing to do with prototype racing. This is mainly about GT racing. Production cars are also involved in this. Touring cars, bunch of GT cars when it comes to GT2, GT3, GT4. But the cars that a lot of people are going to be focused on is the GT3 race cars. Because these are the cars that are battling for overall victory. And they are arguably the fastest cars out on track as well, which is fantastic. Now, I'm putting this into perspective because there's a lot of people that are familiar with WEC and IMSA. When it comes to the WEC, we have a lot of cars that compete in the LMGT3 category, such as the Porsche 911 GT3R, the Corvette Z06 GT3R, the Ferrari 296 GT3, and so on. You're going to see some of these similar cars at the 24 hours of Nürburgring. So the Porsche will be there, BMW M4 GT3 will be there, another car such as the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 will be there, so that's awesome as well. And it's absolutely incredible to see the variety in different car manufacturers that are involved in this top class fight. David, can you run us through some of those manufacturers? I mentioned a few of the cars that are competing, but in terms of the cars that are competing for the overall victory, what are the brands that are a part of this series?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody watches the GT World Challenge and races like the Spa 24 hours, these cars will be fairly the same. I mean, they're exactly the same, different teams, but exactly the same. So it's the classic Porsches, 911s, Mercedes AMGs, all those cars. But we're also going to see GT4s, a really interesting car in GT4, the GT4 class as well. We're going to get into that later. And GT2s as well, which is it's a gentleman version of the GT3 in my opinion. But that's one of, like, we've been in a little bit. There's so many cars, but there's so many different types of cars and different types of power cars. Like we see the SP1 to 9 or something, which is clearly just determined by power. And we saw a Dacia Logan. Dacia is coming to the Nürburgring, which is pretty crazy. When we think about a Dacia car, we don't think about racing. Cupra, what's more, Hyundai, all those different types of cars. So it's where we normally used to seeing a WEC racing type of manufacturers, BMW,
right,
Audi, Porsche, Ferrari, all those types of cars. We're also going to see the more normal types of cars at the Nürburgring. And that also makes it so much more interesting and so much more dangerous and crazy.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's one of the factors that makes the 24 hours of Nürburgring so special is the variety in different cars. You have the GT3s, you have the GT4s, you have the production cars. And just a quick mention on the production cars for a second. That's another factor which makes this event so special, and the 2024 race in particular so special. You mentioned the Dacia Logan coming into this race. You know, that's a car that a lot of people are excited about, you know. And I think it's quite interesting because we have these cars that can be, and most of the time will be, cars that normal people drive on the road. And so to have your car, I mean, not the same version, but at least your car racing in the 24 hours of Nürburgring is absolutely incredible at times, depending, of course, on the car you have. which is phenomenal. You mentioned the classes, and this is a factor I think that a lot of people need to know coming into this 2024 race is the variety in classes. Now, bear with me if there's a few things wrong here. I've tried my best by researching pretty much every day on this situation. David has thankfully helped me out with this as well, which I'm very thankful for. But let's take a look at the classes. I'm going to pull up the screen now. So this is the variety in classes for the N24 in 2024. So SP1 through SP8, I believe, is defined by the engine of displacement, the displacement of the engine, sorry. And then there's SP9. SP9 is the category that we really need to take a look at. This is the FIA GT3 category. This is where the GT3 cars are going to be primarily battling for overall victory. This is likely the biggest class when it comes to overall victory battles. Then there's SP10, which is for the GT4 cars. This is the category where the GT4 cars are primarily racing. SPX is for the experimental entries. This is where we see the Glickenhaus SCG004C. We'll talk about that entry a little bit later on. I believe there's also the number 60 Porsche involved in that category as well. AT is for alternative fuel cars, which is awesome. There's the V classes for the road cars, the Cup classes for the Cup cars, and finally the TCR class for, of course, the touring cars. So, yeah, those are the classes for the N24 in 2024. By the way, if I did miss out on something, bear with me on that. I'm still kind of new to this series in general, although I have looked at it and I have watched the races for some time. But anyway, yeah, that's the 24 hours of Nurburgring. Huge variety in classes, and it's very different to like Le Mans, for example. Le Mans has Hypercar, has LMP2, and it has LMGT3, just those three categories. IMSA's Daytona 24 Hours has a similar format, just with the separation of the two GT categories, which is interesting. So the 24 Hours Nürburgring, definitely different when it comes to the classes.
Yeah, it's a huge race. Not just on the like track length, but also on the amount of cars, and that's also creating so many different classes. So it's going to be very difficult to watch the full race with all the different cars and follow all the different classes. But what you viewers maybe have to focus on only is the GT3, GT4, and the GTX classes, because that's the most interesting, in my opinion at least. Then, of course, if you know a team in the smaller classes, extremely interesting as well. But the main race is going to be with the GT3s, and we're going to see the majority of the race being where they follow the GT3s racing.
For sure, yeah, and that's going to be what we're going to be focusing on throughout what the stream is going to be focusing on primarily is the GT3s. But I definitely think that viewers should keep an eye on the other classes as well. As David usually pointed out, GT4 is another category to keep an eye on, production cars as well. There's so much to take a look at the 24 hours of Nürburgring. You're constantly busy with information coming in, which is absolutely phenomenal. One of the reasons why this event is so incredible. I want to mention one car in particular. I mentioned it just a moment ago. And this is Glickenhaus, the SCG004C. Now, this is a car that, there's only one, by the way. There's only one Glickenhaus, viewers. But when we look at the car, it's phenomenal, of course. But what we really need to take a look at is the manufacturer themselves. Now, for fans of endurance racing, you're probably aware of the fact that Glickenhaus raced in the WEC's Hypercar class with their Le Mans Hypercar, the SCG007. Now, they pulled out in 2023. Their last participation in motorsport was the 6 Hours of Monza. When that happened, when the announcement came that they were stopping their participation in the WEC, a lot of people, including myself, thought, is this it for Glickenhaus? Are they going to be focusing primarily just on road car sales or production road car sales? Is their motorsport adventures done? Well, it's not, as seen on the 24 Hours of Nürburgring entry list, and as news has broke earlier this year, Glickenhaus will be returning to the Nürburgring, as well as Nürburgring events as well. But yeah, the SCG004C is a GT3 race car. And one of the special things about it as well is that it will be running a very classic livery. This is the Glickenhaus color scheme, the light blue that we've seen on the hypercars in the 2023 season primarily, and the 6 Hours of Monza in 2022. But David, what are your thoughts on Glickenhaus returning to the Nurburgring? Of course, it's not their first time to the event, but are you excited to see them back?
Always excited to see Glickenhaus. If only it's for the hat of Mr. Glickenhaus, then that's worth it. No, it's an amazing team. Unfortunately, they didn't have the most success in their. They haven't had the most success in their motorsport adventure so far. But yeah, it's a fun team. It's a different kind of team, and reminds me a bit of it. Trying not to talk too much of WEC, but it's sort of Fraschini, yeah. Mm-hmm. A small team nobody really knows about, like before. Of course, WEC helped Glickenhaus a lot, but before that, nobody really knew about it. And then all of a sudden, it comes up with a beautiful car, fun leader, and all these different kind of liveries. They had almost a tag list or a QR code on something on the car. So they're always trying to do some fun, and that's one of the reasons why everybody would be missing Glickenhaus if they didn't still compete in motorsports. So yeah, I'm excited. Competing like for the race win, that's a different question. But to see them on track at least, that's great.
Yeah, 100% agree. Glickenhaus is returning to the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, and I speak the same as David. It is phenomenal to see them return to the classic endurance race. Yeah, and of course you mentioned, David, it would be great to see them up top, but for them to fight for overall victory is going to be a challenge, especially with the likes of Porsche, BMW, Ferrari, Audi involved in this battle for the overall lead, and more, of course. It's going to be hard, of course, but we hope to see Glickenhaus in the fight, and it would be great to see that, of course. We did have a comment come in just a moment ago that said from Cameron Phillips, who asked, how do I watch? And this is a great transition point to move into our next segment of how you're supposed to watch the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. Now, this is a factor that a lot of people would like to know, and I think this sometimes gets neglected when it comes to content across social media of like, how do you actually watch these events? Because, of course, the racing is going to be absolutely incredible, but where is the direct connection of how to actually watch this race? And I'm a fan, David's a fan, so we have to watch this race as well, so it's definitely important to know. The Nürburgring 24-hour organizers make this very simple, actually, for everybody. It's live streamed on the official YouTube channel. In fact, all streams are streamed on the official YouTube channel. So that's awesome. You know, it's very accessible for viewers across the world to access this event and see this event. And I'm hoping that the stream of the 24 Hours of Nürburgring gets well over 20,000 viewers, probably way more than that, actually. But yeah, I really hope that it's going to be a hit. It's been streamed on the YouTube channel before. So definitely check it out on their official YouTube channel. I'm going to link it in the description down below. Their official YouTube channel, which you can check out. I would recommend subscribing. I've done so recently just to make sure you have that on the list, just to get content on the event, of course. But again, really easy to watch. And this is another point I wanted to mention is when does this event actually start? And that is going to be on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday, it starts at, I believe, 4 p.m. CET, Central European Time Zone. That is going to be the race start. I believe that's on Saturday, June 1st, and it will conclude on the same exact time on June 2nd, which is Sunday. So it will start at 4 p.m. CET. I believe that's 3 p.m. BST for anybody in Britain. I believe that is also 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for anybody on the East Coast of the U.S., 7 a.m. for me here in California. And I can go on and on about time zones, but I won't because it will take me the entire duration of the stream to go through every single time zones of every single area across the world. But you get the idea. It's starting at 4 p.m. local time. So, yeah, that's the information that you need to know when it comes to the watching of the event. What's another fact? David, did you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, already tomorrow, the qualifying kicks off also on YouTube. Amazing thing about Nurburgring, everything is available on YouTube.
Right.
And if you don't know that much about the race, go watch some of the oval highlights, because we have seen some great racing. Like a classic moment with Porsche 911, Kevin Estra.
Oh, yes.
Like overtaking the entire field. Absolutely amazing to see a driver being that skilled around such a difficult track. So there is some classics around the Nürburgring. And if you really can't wait, then just go watch your videos, Jonah, because there's already loads of content out there, and there's going to be more, lots more coming from us. So yeah, I'm just excited. I can't wait. I mean, it's for some people, they're waiting for the next Formula One Grand Prix. We're waiting for these big races. And we're waiting a long time, but it's going to be great.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be great. The 24 Hours of Nürburgring is always a classic, and we can't wait to see it get going, of course. But yeah, I think you mentioned as well the fact that there's been some previous races that have been very exciting. You mentioned Kevin Estra's fantastic attack through the field in the Porsche 911 earlier. I think it was a couple of years ago, I want to say. Fantastic drive by Kevin, and we hope that he does something similar here in 2024, but we'll see how that goes. But viewers, this is not a new event to the motorsport world. This is an event that has been happening for multiple decades. We are heading into the 52nd edition of the 24 Hours of Nürburgring this year. So that means the event has happened 52 times. The first one, all the way back in 1970, won by a BMW 2002, and it was actually a BMW 123. Of course, BMW, the German manufacturer, taking overall victory in that race. And this is a good transition point to move into the fact that BMW is the most successful manufacturer here. All the way back in 1970, they proved that they would be the brand to beat. And they were. They still are to this day. 20 overall victories at the Nürburgring in the 24-hour event. Not even Porsche has more wins at Le Mans or Daytona, for example. That's huge commitment from BMW. Victory has been attained by multiple different cars. I mentioned the 2002, the M3, and most recently the M6. I believe took victory in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think 2020. Yeah. Okay.
2020 or 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wasn't exactly sure on that, but yeah, BMW has been absolutely incredible throughout the entire history of this event, and we would be a fool to rule them out of the overall victory battle. I think the BMW M4 GT3 has the potential to win yet again, or for the first time actually, but the car itself has won across motorsport in the recent years, but it's never won the 24 Hours of Nürburgring before. Let's see if they're able to do it this year. The number 98 and number 99 cars from Row Racing, I think, are the cars to watch when it comes to BMW. They have been extremely fast. Of course, the team won BMW's last victory here some time ago with the M6 GT3, I believe. And yeah, definitely a team to watch out. Definitely two entries to keep an eye on, and BMW in general are a manufacturer to keep an eye on in this race. Porsche as well are bringing strong cars to this event. I think one that a lot of people are willing on for the race victory is the number 911 Manthey Racing Porsche. That is, of course, the green and yellow car. And it is, of course, a fantastic car that people need to keep an eye on. The Porsche 911 GT3, that's this car right here. That's the car that has won before for Porsche. Last victory, of course, came some years ago, and is definitely an entry to keep an eye on. But as you can see right here on this screen as I'm showing, a lot of cars on track. That Ferrari right in the front there, that's the Frickadelli Racing Ferrari. That's the entry that a lot of people are going to be keeping an eye for the race victory. It's running the number 1 this year as well. And it's definitely a car you should keep an eye on. Of course, it won last year, Frickadelli Racing taking Ferrari to their first overall victory at the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, and it's definitely a car to keep an eye on in this event. So, just wanted to put that little slideshow out on screen here so you guys could check that out and all that sort of thing. But I wanted to mention one more thing. I can't remember what it was. It'll come back to me. but anyway, David, did you have anything to add on the fact of another manufacturer that you think could potentially get in the fight? We've mentioned Ferrari, we've mentioned BMW, we've mentioned Porsche. Anyone else?
I think you're losing out on two major manufacturers. Like, of course, my favorite manufacturer is also racing. A little team and little name called Audi. Just my favorite team ever. So yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for them all the way through. But also Mercedes.
Right.
I mean, they haven't been that successful the last few years, but they're always up there. They're always fighting at the front. So it's definitely going to be an interesting team to follow. But yeah, I'm going to follow Audi, and I'm hoping they'll take that first spot from BMW in a couple of years with most wins. They deserve to have it at least at one of the big races, either Le Mans or Nurburgring.
For sure.
But yeah, they're amazing team. But no, I actually, if we're running through GT3, then Lamborghini as well. Fun team, really competitive last year, and just a amazing team. Nicky Tim, a quality driver, racing for that car last year. Now racing for Aston Martin. So yeah, really fun and really interesting to see all these different GT3 cars. But yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for the German manufacturer. As long as it's not a BMW, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to keep an eye on. I think a few forget that Audi is in this event, considering that Audi is not a part of a ton of endurance races right now with their LMS, the R8 LMS. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see that we have all these car manufacturers involved. Lamborghini, of course, is one that you mentioned we should keep an eye on. Aston Martin, also another manufacturer involved for the overall lead battle. Fantastic. We'll see how it all goes. But anyway, I'm going to deal with something in the comments real quickly. And David, why don't you take over while I deal with that real quickly?
Yeah. So quickly, I want to mention the GT4. Obviously, there's a creator called Jimmy Broadbent. We know Super GT. And they, for the first time, are racing at the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, which is huge for the YouTube community. I probably know that a lot of you guys know who these guys are. And seeing two creators coming to such a huge Grand Prix racing event is amazing. I followed Jimmy Broadbent for a long time, seeing his progression through Paddock Cup and different types of cars as that. So seeing those guys racing in a BMW M4 GT4 is absolutely amazing. So that's going to be amazing to see a new set of drivers. We saw this, I think, British guy a few years ago, the Gran Turismo guy, racing at this event as well, doing really great until the big crash. So these guys can be competitive. I'm gonna be watching them, following them in the Bilstein BMW M4 GT4.
Definitely a team to watch out for. Yeah, so much action happening here. So many teams to root for. Manti, another one I want to keep an eye on as well. I love that green and yellow car. Isn't that such a cool entry? And I believe
It's
that same. It's beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah. Um, I believe that wasn't that the same livery. I don't think it was the exact same car, but the same livery that won the 12 hours of Bathurst earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. The
Same type
nine.
of car, yeah.
Yeah, I believe the same type of car. I don't know if it was the exact same type of car that's racing at the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. I could be wrong though, but anyway, that car is definitely one that people could keep an eye on. Another factor we should mention heading into this race is that the 24 Hours of Nurburgring is now a part of the GT Challenge series, I believe it's called.
The World Challenge.
Yeah, GT World Challenge, the Intercontinental GT World Challenge. That one, a huge series, of course, and the 24 Hours of Nurburgring hasn't really been a part of a huge series like that. And this is huge, you know, to bring it in. This is for the very first time in 2024. This is happening, and it's now a part of the Intercontinental GT World Challenge. So, David, what do you think about that? That's something new for this year, of course. What do you think about the N24 being a part of the series?
I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction for me. Beforehand, the Nurburgring was kind of its own series and kind of closed off. Like there weren't really a championship in it. It was all about the big race. For like viewers of different championships, like me, it was quite difficult to get into. Um, but with them coming into the GT World Challenges, it's a step in the right direction of like including the Nurburgring in a big series, like we see Le Mans being in the WEC.
Right.
So it's a interesting thing, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Oh yeah, thank you. Intercontinental GT Challenge. Thank you. But yeah. It's a step in the right direction, and it's going to be interesting to see what the next few years brings. If it's going to be a bit more known race, obviously it's known for motorheads and endurance racing fans, but it's not that known outside of that. So it's going to be interesting to see what effect this is going to have.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know, I think this is a good move it's a win-win in both parties. You know, the 24 Hours of Nurburgring benefits from being a part of the the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Got to make sure I said that right. It's great to have the 24 Hours of Nurburgring a part of that. It helps the series expand into becoming bigger. And I think this also benefits the Intercontinental GT Challenge. This is good for them to have a series with such a prestigious pedigree as the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. A part of that is huge. So yeah, fantastic, of course, to see this like collaboration, I guess, in general, if you want to call it that, of the 24 Hours of Nurburgring now being a part of a series in that form. So fantastic to see that. But yeah, a lot to look forward to in this 24-hour endurance racing event. I think something else I touched on in the Nurburgring Explained video is the fact that this is like a festival, you know, off track as well. A lot of people know this race for the on-track racing and for the actual racing and all the stuff that's happening during the 24-hour endurance race, but the off-track stuff is also incredible as well. Now, I haven't personally been to the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, so I can only speak on who I've talked to and the research I've done. But the festival out there is pretty fantastic. And I think it happens from all across because you have thousands and thousands of people coming to experience the thrill of endurance racing action at the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, this is just a fantastic achievement. And I think the 24 Hours of Le Mans also has something similar. You know, there's a lot of people that come for that event as well, and a lot of people that come to celebrate Le Mans, celebrate endurance racing, and just be a part of the event in general. But it seems like this festival type at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring is even bigger than that.
Yeah, it is. It's a festival in the forest, and like it also creates this immersion of how big it is when you
Right.
see for the formation lap that the fans are able to step out onto the track and and watch the cars come by. That they have taken the fans onto the track in more than one sense, and they are such a huge part of this race. So of course it's going to be an important factor for the race. But yeah, I mean, look out for at the sides of the track, and look out for small fires and in cans and stuff, because they're gonna have a party and get really drunk out there, and it's gonna be fun to see. It's a festival of sport. It's a festival of motorsport, and we obviously love it a lot.
For sure, yeah. The 24 Hours of Nurburgring Festival is definitely one to keep an eye on. I just want to quickly run through something, because we've talked about all the manufacturers that have kind of come in, but I want to show the viewers what we're talking about. So I'm going to put a list of all the car brands that are competing in this endurance race. So we have Mercedes, we have Audi, we have BMW, we have Porsche, we have Aston Martin, Glickenhaus, Ferrari, and Lamborghini, all competing in the GT3 category for overall victory. Then there's also Volkswagen, Mini, Dacia, Toyota, KTM, Subaru, Hyundai, Renault, and Cupra. All these brands are a part of the official 24 Hours of Nürburgring event. And it is absolutely incredible to see this many brands. That's 17 car brands on the grid for this upcoming event. And yeah, I think it's just absolutely incredible to see how many brands are a part of this. I can't speak enough about it. But yeah, of course, the first couple I've mentioned are going to be battling for overall victory. The others are kind of in their own classes. And then there's all those other manufacturers at the top. They have other entries, such as Porsche and BMW in other classes as well, besides GT3. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. 17 car brands. I just got to repeat that one more time. 17. That is just a number that I would have never expected to see at a big endurance race, let alone an endurance race in general. But that just proves how competitive and how interesting that the 24 Hours of Nürburgring is, and it's attracting this many car brands to the event.
Yeah, it's fairly normal for this race to attract that many brands. I mean,
right.
If you want to see something funny, like I think it's a few years ago that Dacia had a really extremely slowest car of the race, and you could just see how fast the GT3 was catching up to it around the Nürburgring lap, and it's so absolutely amazing race, so fun, and you're not gonna get bored. I mean, sometimes if there's a safety car in a big endurance race, some would take a nap there and rest for a bit, but you don't have the opportunity to do that in a race as the Nürburgring. Always action going on, no matter where you look, and that's the beauty of it. It may be tougher on you, because if you're not used to watching a 24-hour race straight through the whole thing, I mean, Jonah, you're going to be up late at night to watch the start. I'm a bit more fortunate living in Europe, but it's going to be absolutely amazing and so much fun. So if you don't have the adrenaline and from watching the Nürburgring, I don't know what would give you it.
Yeah, and I think that it's also okay to point out the fact that it's okay to take a break, and relax and get ready, because there's always those points, like under safety car, for example, where there's those small breaks, and sometimes in the night as well, there's very low action, just because people are going into their strategies, they're going into their long distance running of their cars, and just trying to make it to the point where they can push for overall victory or for a position or whatever. So it's okay to have breaks. I mean, for me, I can't watch the full 24 hours straight. That's impossible for me. Same with Le Mans, even though we are petrol heads in general, we love racing. It's just not possible. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think I want to point out one thing, and then we'll probably start to conclude, because we're getting towards the hour mark and I don't want to go too long. While we go into our predictions for this race, we're going to predict, I'm thinking maybe we can go into our top 3 predictions of the overall win. Each of us will do that. viewers in the comments below, feel free to put your predictions in for the race, and any questions you have about this race, just about endurance racing, or just anything in general, put it down in the comments below. We will try and answer that throughout the stream. I have a few more things I wanted to mention before we conclude. But David, do you have your top 3 for the overall victory? Who do you think is going to take third? Who do you think is going to take second? And who do you think is going to take the 52nd edition of the 24 Hours of Nurburgring race win?
I mean, it's going to be difficult for me to put it into one car number. So I'm going to say it by manufacturer instead. I hope for an Audi victory, but I don't believe it. It's a very small crew. So I think it's going to be a Porsche. I hope it's going to be a Porsche. Manthey Racing, because it's the most beautiful car. It's a very successful car.
True.
I think Mercedes is going to be up there. I don't think they'll get the victory, but I think it's going to be finishing on the podium, definitely. So maybe third for them. And I hope to see Ferrari be competitive again this year. I don't think so, but yeah, I just for the banter, I'm going to put them second and Manthey Racing number 1 with the 911.
I like that prediction a lot. I think that's a great one. We have a few comments coming in, and I'll give my prediction as well. One saying Lamborghini P1, Porsche P2, and MB P3. So that's interesting. We have another one coming in from Norin who says Mercedes for the win. That's great. Alberto says 911 Porsche in first, the 130 car in second, and the 98 BMW in third. A lot of people saying Porsche, a lot of people saying Manthey, Porsche for the win. Gonna be interesting. You know, there's a lot to come into this. Also, Clayton asks, will the race be live in the 24 Hours of Nurburgring YouTube channel? Yes, it will be. You can find out all the details on that in the further back in this video. We talk kind of just explaining how you can watch this race and when it takes place and all that sort of thing. But yes, it's on the official YouTube channel starting at 4 p.m. local time.
And it's going to be linked under this stream as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, David, for mentioning that. Yeah, it's going to be linked in the description. I'll do that right after this live stream ends and put the link there. So for my prediction, I guess I'll just put this here. I'm going to go bold. P3 Glickenhaus SCG004C number 706. I'm on the Glickenhaus hype train, and I'm going for P3 for Glickenhaus. Their first podium on return since 2022. Glickenhaus P3 with an insane, crazy race, rain, all that sort of thing. I'm putting P3. I'm going bold with that. P2, the number 1 Frickadelli Racing Ferrari. That car has been very quick, very consistent in 2023. I think they're going to have another strong showing, but it's not going to be overall victory. And the P1 is hard because I want to say one manufacturer, I want to say another manufacturer. And since you went with the Manthey Porsche for the win, I was thinking about saying that, but I kind of think that car is going to have a great win, or a great result, sorry. But I don't think it's going to take the overall victory. I'm going with the number 98 BMW from Rowe Racing. That car has been quick before. And BMW, they have a competitive car, I think, throughout this entire race. I think they have a competitive team with Rowe Racing. And I think that the 98 is ready to take overall victory. It's time for the M4 GT3 to finally get a win at the Nürburgring. It's time for BMW to get their 21st win. Although, I would love to see Porsche up there as well. I would love to see Audi up there. I'd love to see Mercedes. I'd love to see all manufacturers up there. But those are just our general thoughts.
Yeah. Because if I go with my heart, I would say Audi all the way. But
right,
I'm not as bold as you, slash stupid as you. But that's
I shouldn't have gone for the Glickenhaus.
But we'll see. It could be a great prediction. We'll see at the later point. But yeah, it's also a difficult race to predict because everybody's in for it. I mean, seeing Ferrari win last year was a huge surprise. So everything can happen in 24 hours. Nothing is over until it's over.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. I saw a question here. Audi is done in racing, right? No, they're actually talking about. They are obviously going to join Formula One, but they are also talking about, and this is not confirmed, but they're talking about joining WEC when the hydrogen class gets announced, because they have been pushing for it for a long time. So it could be interesting to see them join back up. But for what I know, the main focus is Formula One. So if you want to see a great team like Audi race, then go watch Formula One.
Yeah, that's a good point to mention. Hydrogen, of course, is a factor that is coming into the WEC and all that sort of thing. It's possible that Audi could get involved in that. But yeah. Well, anyway, getting back to the 24 hours of Nurburgring. Question from Adrian, who asks, are all drivers listed? I believe so. I believe the majority of them are. I think we're going to see over 500 compete in the event, which is staggering when we think about that, which is absolutely incredible. We have another comment coming in. Will there be a spotter's guide for all classes? I'm not sure about every single class. I know SP9 spotter's guide is out. I don't know if every single class will run the spotter's guide, but it's possible. It's possible. We'll see. Feel free to send any more questions. We have another one actually that just came in. Says, is AF Corsa not in this race? I don't believe AF Corsa is involved because Ferrari, there's only one 296 GT3, I believe, and that's from Fricadelli Racing, the car that won last time out at the Nurburgring. So AF Corsa are not involved. I believe they will return in future events, though, of course, of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. But I could be wrong. Or at least, I don't know. Is that true? I don't know if they are involved.
I know they're in the GT World Challenge and racing at the Spa 24 hours.
Right.
But I don't know if they're going to join up later on. I know that usually we don't see a team as, of course, join on Nürburgring, but a lot can change in the next few years with this new agreement. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait to see, of course, at Le Mans, but also at the Spa 24 hours, which is another race we're gonna do some stuff on. But that's fine in the future.
Yes, that's a good point to mention. We will be doing content on Spa, of course. That's another fantastic race. And another thing about it is that this is the centenary edition of the Spa 24 hours, as the first race was back in 1924, and of course it's 2024, so it's been officially 100 years since the last race, which is absolutely incredible to think about, and absolutely, wow, it's just mind-blowing. So yeah.
You mean the first race, not the last race?
Yes, I got that mixed up. Yeah, first race, 1924. Yeah, I got that mixed up. Sorry about that. But yeah, 1924, first race, 2024 will be the next one, and 100 years since that. So anyway, we will be covering the 24 hours of Spa coming up. But yeah, if you all have any further questions when it comes to the 24 hours of Nürburgring, any endurance racing, really anything at all, just let us know down in the comments. We'll stay here for a little bit longer and answer a few more questions if you have any of those. I also wanted to point out that while the 24 hours of Nürburgring is the focus this weekend when it comes to endurance racing events, we also don't want to forget about the fact that IMSA is back this weekend for the Detroit Grand Prix. That's another event that viewers should probably check out. It's going to be taking place on Saturday, starting at, I believe, 3 p.m. local time, which is the EDT time zone. And that race is going to be taking place at a brand new track for the WeatherTech Championship, which is the Detroit Street Circuit, which makes its long-awaited return to motorsport. Before, of course, viewers are probably familiar with Belle Isle hosting events in IMSA, but now that track is gone. 2022 was the last race there, and you can check out the race preview for the Detroit Grand Prix now on the channel. It just got released about an hour or two ago. And it's definitely an event you should all check out. It's only an hour and a half, and GTP cars will be there as well, so fantastic racing in Detroit is expected.
Yeah. There's lots of great racing, and and it's almost too hard to keep up on. But yeah, now we've just had the Indianapolis 500, we've just had Monaco. Now we can focus on the endurance racing season again, and
Right.
it's gonna be great.
And the Indy 500 and Monaco were both, well, more so Indy 500, not Monaco, if I'm being honest. Were fantastic. I mean, Monaco was
Come on, it was a great race.
Well, I mean, it was.
Max didn't win.
That's true. Well, I mean, we had the top 10 stayed in their same positions, which I believe is the first time in F1 history. But at least we got a Leclerc win. You know, that was great because he deserves that. Anyway,
and Chaos in the back.
Well, we're an endurance racing channel, I guess, viewers, so we should probably go back to that. I'm sorry. We're also motorsport fans in general. Me and David both like Formula One, and IndyCar as well. So we keep an eye on that, and we had to mention that somewhere. But David, you are correct. We're back onto the endurance racing schedule. Le Mans is next up in the WEC, which is absolutely mind-blowing. We're gonna get so many cars for that event. But of course, it's not about Le Mans just yet. We have the 24 Hours of Nurburgring coming up this weekend, and the Detroit Grand Prix as well on IMSA. With the 24 Hours of Nurburgring coming out, viewers, it's going to be hard to make further content on Detroit. I'll try and get a race review out, but I don't know if I can. I'm going to be taking some time off next week for my birthday, which is it's on the 5th, so I want to make sure I get some time for that and relax a little bit. But Le Mans is definitely the priority for me when it comes to content. I know a lot of people were asking in the comments and in past videos as well, like what's the plan for Le Mans? What's going to be happening with the content? Is there going to be a lot? Well, I can assure you there is. I plan to do a video at least every single day when it comes to the week before Le Mans, as well as David and me doing some live streams, which is going to be great. We'll definitely do a preview, kind of like what we did here for the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. Potentially another one as well. And yeah, I guess before we wrap up, and thank you for the happy birthday wishes, viewers. I really appreciate that in the comments. Before we wrap up, I think we should probably announce what we have planned for this weekend, because viewers, and this is not 100% certain, but we're gonna try. This is not the only live stream this week. Me and David are gonna try our best to do a live stream before the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. I believe we're going to try and do it about 30 minutes before, kind of get our raw reaction to the race. And of course, we can't show it on our screens, of course. I wish we could. I tried my best to get it on, but unfortunately, it's just not really possible at this time. For 2025, that will definitely happen. But for 2024, we're just going to try and do our raw reactions to it and basically give our thoughts as we count down to the start of the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, which is going to be absolutely incredible. And David and myself also mentioned as well that this is the 24 Hours of Nürburgring is kind of a test for what's to come with Le Mans. I think, David, you were mentioning that on a previous stream, right?
Yeah. We're testing a few new stuff, a few new things out this weekend with how we're going to run this race on coverage. We're also going to do a bit of the same around Le Mans. It's going to be tweaked because this is the test, but yeah, we're going to see what we can do and hopefully create some great content for you guys. But yeah, we have talked about a lot of fun things as a halfway update. If that's something you want to see, then please let us know, because it's also in the middle of the night for some of you guys. So it takes dedication, but we're gonna do it if you like it. And lots of different things coming up for this weekend. So this is kind of what you could expect from us doing around the Le Mans. And we're gonna test some things out. So we hope you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I echo David's words there. Yeah, it's we have a lot planned for the upcoming weeks, especially for Nürburgring, especially for Le Mans, which are going to be absolutely incredible to cover. And I think that the videos won't be affected by this. In fact, it will be intensified because we've got so much content coming out. And yeah, just so much to discuss. I mean, I'm working every bit of the day on videos and plans for the channel, viewers. As we come into Le Mans and all that sort of thing. So a lot to discuss. I also have a Laguna Seca video coming out at the end of this week. Have a little bit of content from my recent trip there, which was absolutely incredible, by the way. And I really do appreciate the organizers of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for allowing me to provide this content to you all here on YouTube. We did get a comment coming in down in the comments below that asked for basically just a promotion of an event we have coming up, and I thought that it would probably be okay to mention it as well, considering it is something to do with endurance racing. I'm hosting a GT7 Gran Turismo 7 endurance race on June 8th. It's the 2 hours of Le Mans, so it's a Le Mans race with Group C cars. If you would all like to check that out, we have a live stream for that on the Lightning Speed Racing YouTube channel, my former league that I owned for Formula One and GT racing. Of course, I didn't have enough time to continue it, but I still am involved with the league and all that sort of thing. So if you like endurance racing, I know it's not real life, but it is something fun. It's just something I will be racing in the number 5 Mazda. So definitely a support would be great. But anyway, just wanted to mention that. So I think that pretty much concludes what we're going to be discussing from the 24 Hours of Nurburgring preview. David, did you have any final thoughts before we basically conclude our next stream, or this stream at least?
Oh, it's just amazing to see that even though we took a break, or there was a bit of a gap between this stream and last stream, the support is still immense. So that's lovely to see, and we'll keep on doing this as long as you love it, as you do. So I'm just happy we're back, and there's a lot more content coming. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the viewers as well. Just to continue David's words here. I mean, you pointed out the fact that we took a break. We took a little bit of a gap, from I think it was Imola and Long Beach to about here, with schooling, working, all that sort of thing going on between. It was hard to make live streams and videos in general for me. But to see that the viewers are still interested in this is huge. So we really appreciate your support for this channel, for the live streams, for the videos, everything when it comes to it. And by the way, I want to mention the fact that once this live stream is over, you can listen to it on Spotify, on the formulajonah Spotify, run by yours truly, David. David will be uploading the Spotify video very shortly, and that will be, of course, basically this just on the podcast format.
Yeah.
So you can hear it.
Yeah, and please go put a rating in. That will help the podcast a lot, and listen to it. So yeah, it's we're gonna do this for you guys. Also to just have a walk or something. If for example, if you can't watch the race, the Nurburgring, put it on Spotify. Listen to it there. It's gonna get up there. So yeah. Please go and listen to it and rate it on Spotify. That would be really, really nice of you.
That definitely would. Yeah, let's hopefully that gets expanded, of course, the Spotify part of this this format here of the channel. But anyway, I think that's going to conclude things. That was the 2024 24 Hours of Nurburgring race preview. We covered basically all of the topics that you need to know heading into this 2024 endurance race. A first time covering it on the channel, and it's definitely something we won't be letting go of. Oh wait, I think I said that right. Yeah, won't be letting go of. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure I said that right. Yeah, we'll be doing this in the future, of course. More content on the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, and hopefully, if things work out, we will be doing a right before reaction to the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, countdown to the race, and first couple of minutes of the start as well. So that should be absolutely incredible. The race starts at 4 p.m. local time. That's the Central European time zone on Saturday, June 1st. The 24 Hours Nurburgring 52nd edition of this race, with more than 130 cars out on track at the classic Nurburgring Nordschleifer Loop. This is going to be an absolutely incredible race, and I hope you all get to enjoy it. So, I've been Jonah, that's been David, and we'll see you all in the next live stream. Have a great rest of your day,